Hi, Marla. So I'm here with Marla Renee Stewart, who is teaching a class, Queering Straight Black Relationships, Navigating Sexual Behavior in Relationships with Black Heterosexual Individuals and Couples in the Southern United States. So Marla, what exactly does Queering Straight Black Relationships mean, and what's going to be covered in the class?
So, what queering straight Black relationships means is basically that we are thinking about elements of queer sexuality and bringing those into straight Black relationships. It's thinking about how we're navigating sort of cultural dynamics, what that looks like, and regional dynamics, especially in the South. So, understanding these Southern identity tropes and how they really kind of affect people's mindset and how they approach their sexuality. Also, thinking about elements of religiosity and how religious trauma and how that can also, religiosity in general, and how those practices can also kind of skew the way people see things. So understanding people's backgrounds and how they are using them in a sort of non-normative way than what they're used to, right? So understanding how we are expanding intimacy beyond sort of the rigid, man, woman binaries that folks are used to. And I think about when we're saying queering, it's basically saying, queer is non-normative. And so how can these non-normative practices be integrated into these people's relationships? So challenging those limiting beliefs around their own gender, around their own sexuality, around their lover's gender and their lover's sexuality, right? And ultimately, I think queering straight Black relationships helps supports, clients in just more ways of being, free with their sexuality.
And so, what are some ways that you can do that? So, I'm imagining you're going to cover that in the class, but for people that may not be coming, what are some ways to do that?
So I think we have to approach it in several different ways. So in the class, we're going to be covering three different case studies of how these relationships are how they're happening, right? So thinking about the elements of a person's identity, bringing those in and saying, hey, what are some tools that we can use? So not only kind of using, the sex therapeutic tools, but just understanding how we can use sort of client-led work guide us, right? So what does the client think they need? And then often kind of bringing that element in to say like, okay, if you think you need this, let's try this thing out. Um, Thinking about role playing and how role playing can be an effective tool towards liberation and sexuality. Um, Thinking about how we understand kink and BDSM and how we can expand on those kind of tools in kink and how we can bring those into those straight Black relationships. Yeah, just different kinds of techniques. Yeah, we're going to go over in this case studies. Yeah.
I'm really excited about the class. Is there any like standouts that you want to let people know, like things that, are going to stand out to them that maybe they would never have thought about before taking this class?
That really is that's a really good question. Um, I think part of it is when I like to bring in elements of sort of coaching. So when we think about sort of some alternatives to, sex therapy, we can also think about sort of coaching aspects. So I really love Dr. Ian Kerner's like how to understand like sexual relationship identities, right? Thinking about questions we need to ask for emotional uh, uh, commitment, emotional, oh my gosh, the words have left me.
Been there.
Romantic romantic attraction, and thinking about how we can understand, hey, what are these things that you are doing outside of the bedroom to incorporate to understand how you're going to be emotionally connected in the bedroom. So all of these different kinds of tools and skill or tools that can be that are, I guess, kind of non-normative in a sense in the sex therapeutic world, right? We're not talking about like, Gottman or all of those other things, but or implicit model. We're just kind of going into some other coaching alternatives. So I would say bringing in, um, building up people's sexual confidence, right? A lot of times when people get into this work, people are like, well, how do I, I'm feeling defeated, or my lover cheated on me. So now, am I not good enough? Right. And so, we're not really, we can think about, the sort of the meta of, the Esther Perel kind of techniques, but then we can also think about, hey, what are some elements of how do we build up our clients' sexual confidence so that they can feel better about themselves, so that they can actually implement the work? And so that's one thing we're definitely going to be going over around how to do that, what that looks like, and really actually how to change our clients' brains so that we can, so that the work sticks, right? And then that they're not coming to us forever trying to get their problem solved.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I'm excited for the class, and we will see you soon.